Hi everyone, this is Joan, and welcome to my channel. I kind of have my voice back, at least 85%, I think. I did watch, like everybody else, Cat Williams on Club Shay Shay, and yeah, I thought it was really funny. I think that, what I look at is how, especially black men, look at black women. And I did catch where Shannon said something about women want to be treated like equal some of the time, and some of the time they don't. And I thought it was very refreshing because one thing I've noticed about men, black men in particular, is it doesn't matter what the subject is, they find a way to bring black women in and say black women don't do this, that, or the other thing. But I have a great deal of respect. I always liked Cat Williams, even though I tend to be on the periphery of whatever is popular. But I didn't know he was not popular because I was just watching his specials and not paying much attention. I didn't even remember him from Friday After or whatever that was because when I think this is the same movie. When I saw, what is that guy's name? When I saw Ice Cube wound up with a Hispanic woman, I kind of lost interest in the whole movie. Now that was toward the end, but I kind of forgot about it because it was like, yeah, whatever. I see your preference, and therefore I'm not paying you much attention any further. So that is another reason why I have great respect now for Cat Williams. Coming from the same kind of background, but where he said he was raised a Jehovah's Witness, and so was I. I know what he meant by I didn't do anything. People don't understand that when you try to explain as a being raised as a Jehovah's Witness often means you don't really have a social life. So fortunately, he had an extremely high IQ to make up for it. And like I said, I have always had I have some respect for everybody. I think the world is a hard enough place. I have no real desire to make it any harder on anybody than it has to be. But my father was a Virgo, so I've always had respect for men who carry themselves with dignity and who can go out into the world and not throw their burden on women, on especially black women. So things that he was saying about women. Now, I told you I went to school with a lot of very, boule. Went to school with a lot of boule children. At the time, I did not know there was any such thing. I thought black, whatever shade it was black. So I didn't really, I believed in the one drop rule. 4 years at that school changed my mind. I learned that no, it's not your imagination. There is black, at the time, there was dark skin, brown skin, and light skin. Now it's just light skin and dark skin. But back then, I was in the middle. So I always thought, okay, well, I'm about the color of every other black person for the most part. But I can see how light skin is treated better, how they don't really have to be anything in particular to be a standout according to everything people say. And I also see that dark skinned people get chased home by light skinned people. And I think that it's very weird because they call this the black race. If it's the black race, black people, shouldn't that be a good thing that you're dark? So that was puzzling to me, but I learned that it really did make a big difference, and people don't like to admit it. And I do think that colorism is pretty much the same as racism. I mean, if you really think about it, why are most people racist towards you because of your color? And, other things beside it, but it is primarily because of your color. So if a person is colorist towards you, in your own race doesn't matter. They're still racist. They're still basically upholding the superiority of light skin. So when Cat Williams came right out and said, hey, when you do well, when you're accepted in this game, you are given a Now he said a weird looking light skinned white. Now, as a brown skinned woman, and speaking, well, now we're just dark skinned women, we have always thought that. I think we've always looked and said, wait a minute, why is it I have to be pretty? I have to be the right size. I have to be able to hold a conversation. But this person walks up and she doesn't have to do anything. All she has to do is be light. And you'll scream and holler, she's the most beautiful woman in the whole world. She's the smartest woman. She is allowed to go off, curse people out, and you won't say she's ghetto. She's just spicy, or she's passionate. Why is it you're handing everything to her? Now, my saying it, or any other brown or dark skinned woman saying it, you will immediately be told you're jealous. You just wish, no, I don't. I'm happy for what I have. I would think that anybody would be happy for what they have. So, to me, him saying that was just, now this is the thing that I haven't heard many people speak on, because it is one of the most cherished and quietest kept concepts in the black race, that yes, we are black, but light is better. Well, I think that he came right out and threw that right in people's faces and did it very bravely. And I would like to say a personal thank you, because as black women, you're not allowed to say it, or if you do, it's constantly countered by you wish you were as good as them, as though people feel that whoever would say something to you like that, they are the ones who feel that light is better. Now, I'm not saying anything bad about light skinned people. There are people in my family who are light skinned, and they're my family. I love them like anybody loves their family. But I'm speaking in general. Light skinned people recognize that they have a mystique. And like I told you, I do think that it is not black women who have magic, it's white women who have magic. Because if you think about it, look at Jonathan Majors. I'm not sure how old he is. I think he's in his 30s. That's old enough to recognize that this could happen to you. You have history. You can see what could possibly happen to you from going over to that side. And I really appreciated the way Cat Williams said it, that, this is not, as he expressed it, and this is definitely not a direct quote, but it is dangerous to go over there. And like I said, I thought when Get Out came out that maybe black men don't know. This movie is telling them, and it's being told to you by a biracial man, and it didn't change anything. So I think that, like I said, I have newfound respect for Cat Williams. I never had any lack of respect for him before. I have always, well, I used to say I would like to have a team of Virgos come clean my house because they're so neat. I mean, even if you look at like Jason Statham, I know this is a white guy and all, but I think that astrology kind of crosses that. But I look at him sometimes and I think he beats people up neatly. Like, good grief, you don't see blood splatters or anything. That's a talent. And I think the same about, you know, well, like I said, my father was a Virgo, so I've always had a thing for men who carry themselves with dignity. My mother used to talk about how he was working on the back of the house. He liked to build things, and people would come and say, "Dude, you should do this, that, or the other," or "Why are you doing it that way?" or just ask questions and stuff. And she said he would just continue on with what he was doing. He, didn't argue or anything, and I always kind of admired that. And I think that that is that. Plus, I had read this article that said Aquarians were the most intelligent, or are the most intelligent zodiac sign. Now, of course, I was happy to read that because I am an Aquarius. And like it would mention the top four. And it seemed, I read a lot of different articles, and it seemed it was always Aquarius, Gemini, Scorpio, and Virgo. Now, I dated a Virgo, and I didn't really think he was. I mean, we weren't in a position where I would be able to say, yeah, I think that he is extremely intelligent. But now I'm thinking maybe I should have rethought him because looking at Cat Williams, good grief, you have all this going on and you're humble. That's amazing. I thought that the last thing in the world you want to do is get in an argument with a Gemini, but now I think you got to add Virgo there too. So, this is just my respects to the Virgo man. Now, I know all of you aren't Cat Williams, but you have a very good representative right there. So, and as I've said on many videos, that I might critique black men because just like here, Shannon, they're constantly critiquing us, but they don't want us to say anything back. But I have a soft spot for Virgo men, actually for men in general. But I think earth sign men is just something very, to me, very solid, of course, because they're earth. But yeah, I kind of like their practicality and stuff. But, Cat Williams, I think, really did a great job of representing you Virgos. So keep up all that good, neat work. And yeah, keep using that brain. So, you guys, I know I didn't, you know, go into much depth because generally speaking, me being me, I try very hard not to. I like taking something that's complicated and making it simple. I do definitely do not like when people take something that's simple and make it complicated because it's like there's so many things to think about and you're forcing me to only think about this one, and I don't like that. But um, like I said, that's why I don't tend to go into much depth. But I did want to point out those two things. Like I said, I've noticed now this is the first time I've ever really even seen Club Shay Shay. I've never even heard of Shannon, um, whoever he is, because I don't pay attention to football at all. And so seeing it here, and I watched the entire show, it was very interesting. And it showed that, like I said, black men really have a problem with black women, it seems, and that I was watching a video a few years ago, and it was just some teenage white kids in a mall, and they were just talking. Then all of a sudden, they started talking about black people, and I watched it, and I was looking, are there any black people around? And there weren't. But yeah, they were sitting back laughing and joking about black people. And I remember I left a comment like, why are we always on your mind? We're not even around you. It's kind of like when the some woman in Israel said the greatest problem they're facing is black youth. And I'm like, where are any? They aren't bothering you. Why are certain people always on your mind? And especially when you look at religious black men, they or preachers or whatever they call them, elders, they bring up, especially GOCC, he can't bring up anything and not find a way to put black women in it. If you say the world is polluted, it's those black women. It's overcrowded, it's those black women. What is the problem here? Well, I kind of feel the same way with what uh, what Shay Shay said here about, hey, women want to be equal when they want to be equal. I think women don't want to be equal. I think we want to be appreciated for who we are. I mean, equal in the sense that an orange and an apple are both fruit, but it depends on what you want to do with them, which one you use. So I felt that um, Cat Williams' reply was extremely respectful. And the fact that he put the plaque up for Melba Moore. Most of you probably aren't old enough to even remember Melba Moore. Now, Melba Moore looks like she has what they would call African American features. She doesn't look mixed. And it's gotten to the point where you aren't really considered attractive unless, as a woman, unless you have those features. Otherwise, doesn't matter how talented you are. But he acknowledged a black woman, and it wasn't a mixed black woman or a light skinned black woman, which they're the same thing. If a woman is light skinned, if you look at the slave pictures and you look at what light skinned women or men now, where do they get the light skin from unless they're mixed? And don't tell me, oh, two dark people can produce a light child. Two dark people can produce an albino child. Yes, that's a light child, but when that child reproduces, he'll reproduce as if he didn't have albinism. So that whole thing to me is just strange. So I really felt that it spoke a lot about his character, Cat Williams, and his intelligence to reach out to a black woman who looks like a black woman. But in any case, you guys, well, pretty much 40 million people, over 40 million people have actually watched this video. And so you probably already have seen it. But please consider the points I'm making. And yeah, I thought it was really, like I said, I have newfound respect for Cat Williams, even though I never didn't have respect for him. I didn't think about him much one way or the other, except I did watch his specials, which is I don't I don't do a lot of different stuff, but I did watch a few of his specials. What I'm interested in is he never mentioned whatchamacallit, Chris Rock. He mentioned everybody else, Chris Tucker and everything else. So maybe Chris Rock is a okay kind of guy. I don't know. But I was thinking when I was watching it though that shoot, don't white comedians do anything? Then I thought, who is a white comedian? I can't think of any offhand. Was the comedy world? Did it just suddenly turn all black? And I don't know. Well, these are things to consider. If you haven't watched it, you might want to watch it, or you might want to watch it again. I think that Cat Williams did a great representation for a Virgo man and for a black man in general, and that he did not crack on black women. And that is an easy way to get popular. Back in 15 years ago, if you made a video and said black women suck, you would have got 1 million views automatically. So I'm glad that we have progressed a little bit from there. But I do really appreciate that he didn't say anything bad about black women. He upheld black women through Melba Moore, and he didn't do it through tearing anybody else down. So great work, and you guys have a great rest of your day.